We'll be on in 5 minutes.
Can you hear us?
Come and have some coffee with us. Make sure you can hear us and all that, and we'll be right back. In case you're wondering, Robin's setting up. All right. I was just wondering if anybody can hear us. This is a new system, so we're testing it out this morning. And if anyone's on, it would be great if you could tell us whether you can hear us or not. I see people on there. All right. I was just wondering if anybody can hear us. Awesome. Awesome. That's good. So we're testing it out this morning. All right. You ready to go? It would be great if you could tell us whether you can hear us or not. All right. Sorry about the delay in getting it together. We just wanted to make sure it was working. So, with that out of the way, we have a whole new system. It is awesome. We can actually go on Facebook and we can be on YouTube at the same time. And if you want to know anything about that, get in touch with us and we'll tell you exactly what we got, how to get it, because it is fascinating. You can put words up. It's so great. It really is a good system. Robin worked very hard on getting it all together. So, now that we've bored you to tears with the setup, we can get into what we're talking about this morning. But first, I want to say, I'm Di.
And I'm Robin from DiandRobin.com, and we are excited to be here.
All right, I promise we won't have to go through that every morning.
No, we just want to make sure it worked first. Unfortunately, you have to test things. So
yes. So, how was everybody's weekend? Your Mother's Day? I know we had a really, really good weekend. It was a lot of fun, and that's it. Although Robin had to work her other job yesterday, but it was fun. So I just wanted to know how everyone else's was. Did you get to see your mama? And did you celebrate? If your mama's not around, did you celebrate things that she used to like to do, or anything like that? So I'm not getting any feedback here.
yeah, it's okay because you can't see your feedback. But here we go. That's why we got this.
Oh, they said they can't see our face.
You can't see our face?
Can you see our face now? That might have been a while ago that they said that because we had the other thing on. So,
alrighty. So let's get started. We got some good stuff today, actually. It's stuff that I've been learning, or I've been hearing a lot lately. So I decided that maybe I should just go ahead and we should talk about it. Because I was in meetings, I was learning in classes for my job and all of that stuff. And it just kept popping up everywhere. And the other day it popped up in a meeting. And for those of you who stalked me for my job, I just want you to know I will not do quite the same presentation as the boss did, but here it goes anyway. It's really interesting. So, that being said, we're basically talking about the fact of certain needs that you need to have met and the certain levels that you have to complete within yourself in order to become your best self.
We all want to be our best selves.
So we're going to take a look right here real quick so you can kind of get an idea of who we're talking about and why. Okay.
So, has anyone ever heard of Abraham Maslow?
Hello.
All right, so he is he was a psychologist who studied positive human qualities in the lives of exemplary people. And in 1954, he created this hierarchy of human needs and expressed his theories in his book. Those were hard words to say. They were tongue twisters. But, all right, so this is what this is all about. It's a person's motivation to reach his or her full potential, all right? And this is where Robin's going to start to explain what she learned the other day.
Yeah, it's really kind of, let me see if I can make this reason.
Good morning, Lamar.
Basically, what it is you have to understand that there are certain needs that must be met before you can move on to the next level. And the very first one, the foundation of all of those needs, comes down to physiological needs. So basically, if you cannot move forward to the next step if you're worried about breathing, obviously, food, water, sleep, sex. All of these things are part of that physiological need. And so therefore, those needs have to be met first before you can move on to the next level of becoming your
Well, the physiological needs are just like, you don't even realize it because it's just something that you do ever since you're born. You breathe. You don't even think about breathing, right? And food, you need food to stay alive. And water, you need that to stay alive. And we won't mention sex, but you do need that when you're older.
They are when you're older. They are needs.
But they're needs. And to be your best self, you have to feel good about yourself all the time. So then
comes safety. Seriously, you cannot, and I can say this to be true, and then this is where a lot of people fall into, is that if you're worried about how you're going to pay the bills, or you're worried about how you're going, if you're going to have a roof over your head, or if you're, going to be able to live healthy, or whatever the case may be. If you're worried about the safety of oneself, it's going to be hard for you to reach your full self. It's going to be hard for you to reach. And when I talk about that full self, or that center self, that of being completely you, I'm talking about being, creative, your best self, being creative, being, at your full potential. And you cannot do those things if you're worried about safety, or if you're worried about whether or not you've got food and water.
Well, sure. What she's saying is that, if you're worried about, these are the things that bring you down, right? Like if you're worried about, oh my God, I don't have a job, right? Or you're worried about somebody's health, even your own. If you're worried about those things, it doesn't give you the whatever I'm saying, to get to your full self. You have to be able to do that. And if you have things that are up here all the time and kind of dragging you backwards, you're not thinking about becoming your best self. You're thinking about, I need a job, I need to figure out how to get resources. And that's that is a normal everyday thing. We all worry about those things. So that's the things that you got to clear your mind of all the time to be able, according to Maslow, to be able to get rid of and shake off a little bit so that you can move up like this little pyramid of his.
Yes.
And the next thing that we're going to talk about
is love and belonging.
Okay, so Robin, you're killing me this
Well, I took the pyramid down so people could see our faces.
Yes, I know that, but she's like fooling with this gadget so much that it is distracting me from what we're supposed to be doing.
I'm sorry. So the next level is love and belonging, because seriously, people need people. No matter how you look at it, people need people. And people want those relationships. They want those connections, and they want those bonds that help them feel secure and they fulfilled. People want that in their life. And if you're basically worried about whether or not you're going to eat today or whether or not you're going to have a roof over your head tomorrow, the last thing you're thinking about is those connections and those bonding. So you have to go back to knowing where you're gonna sleep, knowing whether or not you're gonna be able to pay the bills before you can really focus on having a relationship, a fulfilling relationship. And the next one is self-esteem. Now, here's the thing about this one.
This is a big one.
This is a big one, and it really is, because a lot of people don't have it. But if you're focused on all these other things below, you're not really focusing on you. You're not focusing on what your needs are as a person, as an individual, how you feel about yourself. Because if you're in all of these situations and they're not working well for you, if you have if you're constantly worrying about whether or not you're going to get fired tomorrow, if you're constantly worrying about whether or not you're going to be able to put food on the table, if you're constantly worrying about whether or not your husband or wife are cheating on you or your relationship is destroyed, no, seriously.
No, I get it. I just wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, but if your relationship is in shambles, the last thing you're going to be thinking about is your self-esteem, right?
Correct.
So all of these areas of your life kind of have to be put together before you can focus on your full self.
Self-esteem is a big one, and you start developing that from the time you're just like 1, 2, and 3 years old. That is just super important, and I think that all of us need to always, if you think you don't have self-esteem, I always say go and listen to motivational talks on that subject, because that'll drag you down so fast, because you're always going to wonder. A lot of people make it about, oh my God, they don't like me, and a lot of times you don't realize it, but it's you who's thinking that, and you have to be more secure in yourself, because I used to run around going, oh my God, so-and-so doesn't like me. And a lot of people say, so what? I don't care if people like me. But you know what? In this particular case, I'm going to say that you have to care in marketing whether people like you or not. But I know a lot of people who says, I don't care if people like me. And it doesn't mean that you have to do everything that they say, or you have to run your life because you think someone doesn't like you. But you have to come across like you're confident, like we talked about the other day, and have that self-esteem, because they're the ones that have to know, like, and trust you. That is how you're going to be able to sell your product.
And people always say, oh, I don't. And I'll be honest with you, I'm one of these people.
Yes, you are.
I'm one of these people that says I don't really care about what people think about me. But it's not that I don't care what people think about me, because honestly, I really do, just like everybody else does. But you don't have to run your life. I don't let it dictate who and what I am. And I don't let it make the decisions for me that I need to make in my life. I'm not one of those people that says, oh, if I don't join this opportunity, everybody's going to be mad at me and they're not going to be my friend. No, I don't really care about that. I live my life how I see fit. and with the wisdom that I've gained and the experience, just like everybody else. And I don't allow other people to dictate that for me. Because here's one of the things that I've always said in my life. When I lay my head down on my pillow at night, who's there? You know, um, nobody that's giving me their opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to, when I wake up in the morning, it's like, who's there? Nobody that's giving me their opinion. I have to think about these things when I make decisions in my life. So, like I used to say all the time, if you're not putting the food on my table, the roof over my head, or the clothes on my back, I'm going to make the decisions that I need to make. And I believe that. And that's kind of what I'm saying here. When you're in a partnership and you have a relationship, then yes, okay, you're going to have to make some decisions together, in your life. And that's going to fall underneath that whole, love and relationship. And then you're going to have some compromise, and you're going to have to do this, that, and that. That's not what I'm talking about here when I say, people say, I don't care what you think, It's not what I'm saying at all. People do. And you need to have that level of need within yourself fulfilled before you can move on to the next level. And that next level is, yourself, your full center self that you need to have. And this is where we're more productive. This is where we're more creative. This is where our minds can focus on what we want to focus on. This is where we can be extremely productive and going after our dream and creating the things that we need to do in order to accomplish that.
This is how you get to your best
best self. And I'm going to tell you, it really is true, because if you take a look at your life and you look back on it, and you can see all these different levels of where you were at the time that the best things in the world were happening to you, at the time that you felt like you were the happiest, the most productive. If you look at your life and all those levels, you will see that each one of those levels were taken care of before you reached that point of great self.
Yeah, I always look at, like, even with relationships, and I say this to people all the time, which has it not just about marketing or who's paying your bills, but if you're in a relationship and you're more sad all the time than you are happy, that is not allowing you to move forward and be your best self. You're so worried about what the other one, if you find yourself walking on eggshells all the time and worried about what their opinion is going to be or what they're going to allow you to do, and you're always wondering when the hammer is going to come down. It's time to think about yourself sometimes. And I'm not trying to break up any families or anything. I'm just saying, if you find yourself in that kind of a situation, maybe get counseling or something, and talk to people about it all, because the whole thing about life is you deserve to have your best self, to be your best self. You don't deserve for someone else to dictate every move you make, because you are going to lose yourself if somebody else is always telling you what you're going to do, what you're going to say, what you're going to wear, where you can go, whether you can go out.
It's a little controlling.
That's what I'm saying. If you are in a situation like that is not healthy for you, you're never going to be your best self. And you deserve to be your best self. And that's all I wanted to say on that, because that is a very, very important thing to me. You have all these other things like the breathing and the food.
Well, the breathing is important too.
Yeah, I'm just saying that all happens because everybody needs those things to survive, basically. But when you start getting into the other parts of this thing, and I stopped here because self-esteem is one of the biggest parts. You have to feel good about yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to be able to handle different situations. But again, if you feel yourself being unhappy most of the time, something's got to change, because in a relationship, you should be laughing and talking and communicating. And if you're not, something's not right. like dig deeper and find out what am I missing? What is my void? You know, and just look at that situation and figure out a way to fix it, you know. And I mean, people can love each other all the time. Like, seriously, God, people love each other, but yet they snap at each other all the time and they don't communicate and they're sitting there on their phones and the kids are looking up going, hey, are you ever going to talk to me? You know, like, because we're all so filled with technology and stuff, you know, and it's very important to relate with your children because you want them to have self-esteem. You know, you can't just sit there and go play your game all the time, you know, because they need that nourishment of love and stuff to know that they're okay and they're going to be awesome people, you know. So you're training them how to be in their life and how to handle themselves in their lives. So all of that is very important. And your best self teaches your children how to be their best self. I hope everyone understands what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's true though, because if you have all of these, I'm going to tell you, I work a lot better and function a lot better and am a lot more productive when I'm not worrying about money. Now, I can tell you that. That's my biggest thing. You know, my biggest stressor is money. And it always has been my whole life. And, you know, and that's one of those things that you just kind of have to learn how to adapt to because, you know, it's almost like for some people, you never have enough. I mean, you get so used to being in that stress and worry mode and not having enough that when you do start to have enough, you're still in that worry mode. You know, you haven't, it's a transition that you gotta have to kind of break out of. But I can tell you truthfully that I know that if I'm stressed and worried about money or I'm stressed and worried about, you know, my job or anything of that sort.
Whatever you're worried about.
I'm not being very productive. I'm not thinking clearly. I'm not being creative. I'm not being, you know, I'll probably go to sleep or something. You know, I mean, it seriously affects your health. It affects everything when you're not at the level that you need to be.
I know that a lot of times, like if my head is, like if I'm overwhelmed with all these things, the thing that I do is I can take myself right outside and just go empty everything out of my head just for that few minutes so that like I can find myself again. You know, everybody needs those few minutes of just being by themselves. We all need it, you know. It's like we all need that because you can be surrounded by people all the time and all the noise and all the clutter and all the overwhelm about all these things. You have to be clear all the time. You know, and that's how you're going to become your best self because you want to think. You want to be able to think clearly and do everything that you're supposed to do. And you can keep moving up that little pyramid that Hassel has out there so that you can be your best self. Because if you do all the things you're supposed to do, all right, you're definitely going to get to the top of that pyramid.
Sure, when all of your needs are met, you can get to the top of that pyramid and you could be relaxed and comfortable and capable of just really tapping into who you are as a person and your best self. You know, so that's an important thing to do. So that's why we wanted to bring that to you today. I hope we got the message across clearly. We apologize for not being able to hit everybody's comments today. I see them popping up like crazy. So as soon as we get finished with this live, we'll go back and answer each and every.
Yeah, that's the one thing we have to figure out how to keep up with your comments.
Because all of our screens are going and there's a little delayed reaction.
But I did see that Krista, Patricia, Sue, Jay, Jill, Lamar. I wanted to just say hi and thank you for coming all the time. We really, really appreciate it so much. And we want you to be able to go forward and become your best self, have inner peace. And we're going to be talking a lot about that in, you know, the coming weeks because that's what we're all about. We're about tranquility and we're about you living your best self.
Well, we're about teaching you marketing with a little bit of heart.
Yes, Robin's heart method. We went over it the other day, but we'll go through it a lot just so you know.
Just so that you can understand and know and be able to connect with your customers because that's what this is all about. It's about building relationships with people It's about being your best self so that you can provide something to the table that in return is just as good as what someone else does. So it's all about how we connect with one another. Really
That is.
So if you guys are watching us from YouTube, please, by all means, hit the subscribe button.
Yeah, we like that. But we'll be back tomorrow with some great stuff.
No, we won't be back tomorrow.
Oh, we will not be back. We have to, there's something that we have to do tomorrow, so we will not be here tomorrow. Please come back on Wednesday.
Yes.
There's no way to avoid it.
Yeah.
And
So we'll see. We may
apologize.
pop on throughout the night tomorrow night, but we just will not be able to be here at the time slot in the morning. So.
But for now, go out and be kind to everybody. All right? There's no need not to be. All right. So make your corner of your world a happy and safe place for you and your loved ones. For now, I'm Di.
And I'm Robin. And until next time, embrace the life you desire.
We'll talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves.